In these King Arthur stories, Arthur is not a king. Guinevere is more of a Cersei Lannister. Merlin is a snarky, mischievous, cheese-loving, agenda-driven, influential druid. Brave Sir Lancelot is a cowardly, egotistical, snobby prince. The Warlord trilogy by Bernard Cornwell is a historical fiction series, but, it being Arthurian stories, it still has some of those fantasy elements, just in a fresh way. There are so many takes on the King Arthur legend, from box office bombs to female-centric retellings. The Warlord trilogy takes a very historical, grounded approach to the whole thing. The story is told in flashback by Arthur's former right-hand man, Dervel Cadarn, who saw it all and now lives as a monk, writing down what really happened. The setting: Britain, around 500 AD. The Roman-era Britain has long since passed. Paganism remains, but fights over souls against a new religion brought to the island from the other side of the world called Christianity. But will the bold attempts by Merlin and Nimue to bring back the old gods succeed? Meanwhile, the kings of the western and central lands fight against each other, but the Saxons constantly threaten them all from the east. So in this grave, conflicted time, Arthur is the only one who seems to be able to bring people together. A military genius? Yes, but this warm, kind, righteous, honor-bound man wants nothing more than peace and prosperity for all people, and a humble, quiet, honest life for himself. Again, he's not a king, he's a warlord. We read Bernard Cornwell's trilogy back in high school and loved it. Two things have stuck around with us all these years later: the characters of Galahad and Saintwin. It's time for some character studies. Galahad is a familiar name in traditional Arthurian tales. The depiction in these books are mostly the same: the true Christian knight and a positive example of masculinity. Galahad is the illegitimately born son of a king, so he knows what it's like to be an outsider. He was still raised in royal courts, however. Considering his upbringing and his petty, vain, legitimately born older brother Lancelot, he could have turned out bitter, angry, and cold-hearted. Quite the opposite. He has a friendly disposition and is great with kids. He knows how to engage with the high and mighty, but is comfortable and accepted with the common folk. Can't forget loyal to a fault either, especially to the ones he loves. He is a warrior too. The best? No, but skilled and experienced. Other warriors tend to be loud, oafish frat boy types. Galahad is more easygoing. Most lords and warriors choose fearsome animals as their sigils, but Galahad simply has a cross. Galahad is the most saint-like Christian in the Warlord trilogy. Other Christians still secretly practice pagan rituals. Others are scheming and politically minded busybodies who look down their noses at pagans. Plenty even become violently anti-pagan at one point. Galahad is none of these. He hardly believes in the pagan gods, yet he respects people's views. A lesson for us all. You don't bring people to Christ by acting superior to them and mocking their beliefs. In the second book, Merlin, Nimue, and Dervel and a handful of other pagan soldiers take a dangerous trip to retrieve an artifact. It's actually a twist on the search for the Holy Grail part of Arthurian legend. Galahad is the only Christian in the group. He thought the pagans were wasting their time and taking an unnecessary risk, but he went too. If you say he was supporting them in their idolatry, we would disagree, because he saw that this quest meant a lot to his friends, and he was not about to let them all die while off on a wild goose chase. When the group reaches the island where the artifact is said to be, the pagans prostrate themselves, because they consider it to be sacred ground. Galahad probably thought the whole thing was absurd, but he briefly knelt on one knee out of respect. Maybe it was too much, but we think a modern equivalent would be if you, a Catholic, ever enter a mosque or temple and you remove your shoes because that's the customary practice. Is that a rejection of Catholicism? Obviously no, it's a gesture of courtesy. Galahad is nicely developed and is not flawless. There is one moment specifically where he opens up and he reveals himself to be harshly self-critical. He confesses to lust and envy. Galahad's outlook on life ultimately proves to be bleak and pessimistic. In short, Galahad is relatable and actually tries to be truly Christ-like. Moving on to Saintwin of the Kingdom of Powys. She is the lover/wife in all but name of our narrator Dervel. To describe her as just a beautiful, nurturing princess is not wrong, but we feel it is a huge disservice. A princess? Yes. So she was raised comfortably and was meant to be nothing more than just a piece in the political games. A pretty thing to be married off when she came of age. Now her father was the hard, intimidating, warmongering type. Saintwin figured out early on that not only could her father's more barbaric instincts be deterred, but everyone tended to be happier when she was sweet and kind. So she became that. Genuinely, not in the play-acting, mask-wearing sense, but truly. She developed into a warm, lovely, gracious lady. She is in sharp contrast with Guinevere. Guinevere is a real schemer, eager to play a part in the political games of Britain. She is fiercely beautiful and is determined to make a mark on the world however she can. She follows her own gods, which include Isis. Yes, that Isis. Arthur falls in love with her, and he ends up breaking off his betrothal to Ceinwen, which leads to the biggest conflict in Book 1. By Book 2, Ceinwen and Derval have fallen in love. But Ceinwen, being the royal, gets paired with Lancelot to ensure better relations between kingdoms. And this is the first time we really see Ceinwen's strength of will. In the very public betrothal, she declares her love for Derval. Fortunately, it does not lead to war, but the enmity between Derval and Lancelot grows ever deeper. Ceinwen never actually marries Derval, that's a long story, but becomes his wife in all but name, and their love is true and faithful, and they raise children. Later on, we see how Ceinwen is fiercely protective of her loved ones, yet always willing to help out however and whenever she can. She hardly seems like a groundbreaking female character, but neither is she a one-dimensional stereotype.
We don't blame you if you're thinking there's a bit of the classic virtuous Madonna versus horror trope going on here with Ceinwen versus Guinevere. We kind of got that vibe too, because
Guinevere does have that affair with Lancelot, and because we kind of see Ceinwen as a Virgin Mary-like figure. Her personality, as mentioned, is one reason. Also, we couldn't help but pick up on some other interesting details. Ceinwen and Mary are both royalty, a princess and the Queen of Heaven. You might have heard of the Blessed Mother with the title Star of the Sea. Ceinwen earned quite the reputation and became known as the Star of Powys. Finally, Ceinwen was beautiful on the inside and the outside. Simple and nice things were her best look. Ornate clothes and fancy jewelry were befitting, given her rank, but not what really seemed most suitable. On the opposite end of the spectrum was Guinevere, who had expensive taste and loved to catch everyone's eye with her extravagant attire. This is what happened at Ceinwen's betrothal ceremony. Guinevere goes all out. But then Ceinwen enters in, dressed almost like a peasant, in a simple white dress, absolutely show-stealing. Of all the artistic depictions of the Virgin Mary, we personally like the simple ones best. The ones with more elaborate garments and large ornate crowns, they're appropriate, there's nothing wrong with them. Mary is the Queen of the universe and the Mother of God. It's just a matter of personal taste, that we like the toned-down depictions better. Mary was a peasant girl who lived mostly in small, backroads villages in Palestine. So we think, like Ceinwen, the beauty lies in the simplicity. There is a lot to enjoy in Bernard Cornwell's The Warlord trilogy. Solid character work, excellently crafted battle scenes. While we say these books are primarily geared towards a male audience, it's the human historical spin at the Arthurian legend is refreshing, even subversive, for everyone to enjoy. But what do you think? Love it? Hate it? Never heard of it? Comment below. And if you want to see more great videos that fuse your Catholic faith and your geekiness, then subscribe to Random Catholic Thoughts Geek. Don't forget to like, share, and suggest a topic. May the Lord be with you.